Hey everybody, welcome. My usual, as I've mentioned in the promos for all of these, but also in a lot of others, just in general, my my usual pomp and circumstance about things, my goofiness, my lightheartedness, but being put on the shelf. I'm here to tell you right now, if you're watching this right at start, I'm here to tell you right now, this is a pretty serious game, with very serious commentary on the Palestinian suffering at the hands of the Israeli government. Like, I'm just going to be blunt about it, alright? So I will be playing through this. I'll be pretty serious about it too, if that means that I'm going to be mostly silent while playing it. So be it. That also could mean that I will be speaking candidly about my opinions on this whole horrible situation that is happening in the Palestinian Territories as well. So this is just a big forewarning in general. If you are not interested in hearing this sort of stuff, if you will not like the opinions I will put out, then don't watch. Plain and simple as that. There's no other way I could put it. However, I feel it's important to play this game. One, because as a poor Westerner, there is very little I can do to help with this situation, or to do anything to better this situation. There's very little I can do, so I am doing the best I can. One, by playing this what I consider to be a very important game, and two, hopefully bringing awareness to you all and encouraging you all to do what little or what most you can do as well. Originally, I was going to take this opportunity. I was going to promote the Itch.io Indie Bundle for Palestinian Aid, which was much like the Indie Bundle for racial justice and equality. Unfortunately, yesterday they finished it off. I thought I had a little bit more time, with my work schedule. I was thinking maybe they'd still be going today. However, sadly, the bundle is not finished off yesterday. So instead, I will encourage you to provide any monetary aid you can, any spreading of the word of mouth that you can, to the organization that Itch.io donated their near $1 million of aid to, which was the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East. The UNRWA. You can find that at unrwa.org/Gaza-emergency. They do a lot of fantastic work trying to help the Palestinians with education, with work and money issues, with shelter. They have a ton of workers in both of the Palestinian territories, most notably Gaza, which is, of course, the one that often finds itself being needlessly decimated by the IDF. So, yes. If you can help in any way, whether it's just sending out a tweet about it, sending a few dollars, I highly recommend you do so. That's where the bundle's money went anyway, so just going direct to the source on this one. So, without further ado, we're going to be playing Liyla and the Shadows of War. It was developed by a Palestinian father who is currently living in the territories. It's based on actual events, primarily what happened back in 2014. It's going to be pretty grim, and it's going to be pretty dark, but I think it's important to do. So, without further ado. All right. Okay. Ooh. So WASD controls, huh? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Ooh, boy. Ah. You know, it's kind of sad that, because I could already feel it, like, ooh, oh, I guess I didn't push it far enough. Whoops. That's my bad. Oof. Jesus. Oh my God. Oh man. Ooh, okay. Timing, okay. Oh jeez. Okay. They have destroyed the power station. Oh my God. Oh God. This is just so tragic, you know? Like, why? Like, what's the fucking point, you know? Oh. Whoops. Ugh. Whoops. Okay, sorry. Alright, yeah, this is just so, like, horrible. Like, why? Really, like, why? To fight a terrorist group? So why does everyone who's not a terrorist have to suffer as well? How is that a justification for these horrid actions? It's not. It's not a justification. Ah, I did it again. Shoot. It would really fucking tease me off. Like, pisses me the fuck off about, like, the commentary that's always around this stuff. Is every single time, it's like... Oh, jeez. I need to time this better. I'm doing a horrible job timing it. But what pisses me off every single time that, like, bringing up and criticizing what Israel, the Israeli government, does to the Palestinian territories and to the Palestinian people. It's like everybody immediately turns. Everybody who immediately turns to, oh, you're just being fucking anti-Semitic, you bigot. And it's like, no, dude. Criticizing a government for doing horrible things to a people, pretty much genocidal, if I could be so fucking bold with all of you, is not anti-Semitism just because the government happens to be a government of mostly Jewish people. Like, it doesn't matter who the government majority represents. If the government's going to do horrible things to a people for horrible reasons, it's horrible. Don't worry, she's okay. Oh, man. Oh. Oh, no. Oh, that's so horrible. God damn, it's so horrible. I have a feeling. Yeah. How was your school? Fuck. That's 2014. That was actually a lot shorter than I was expecting it to be. Wow. Closed itself. Well, you know what then? I'm perfectly fine with it being a short game. It was much shorter than I was expecting, but that's fine, because... So let's do that then, shall we? So this is the Liyla.games page. I'm on the facts page right now, specifically. But I figure... Actual images in the game, it is preferred you not open these images until you finish the game. So this is what he based on. And, God, those are probably the 4 kids. Yep. I don't... God. Yeah, look. White phosphorus. Which is fucking a war... Which is a fucking war crime, by the way. To use white phosphorus. You know, I just... How can you look upon this and be like, yeah, Israel definitely needs to be doing this right now? Like, I don't understand. Like, I get it. Hamas. Terrorist organization. Not great either. They aren't... Regardless of what they were founded for, they aren't helping Palestinians. They really aren't. They're not any better than the Israeli government. But how can you... Like, how can you look at all this needless destruction. Because this is abso-fucking-lutely needless. Because there's already so many problems with how Palestinians are just treated. With or without the war crimes. There's so many problems. Okay? You know? So many problems already with how the Israeli government treats the Palestinian people. But how could you look on any of those photographs and be like, yeah, Israel's doing the right thing? They're not, okay? Like, they're not. And this was back in 2014, and now we are here in 2021, and the same shit, the same cruel, needless shit is happening again. It's happening again. You know? And you can't bring this up without being called an anti-Semite or horrible for all of this. And it's like, dude. (2,100 Palestinians. 2,100 Palestinians died. Most of whom were identified as civilians, by the way. Like, it's just, it's nuts to me, you know? It's just nuts to me that people think... Oh, well, of course. Of course, this page doesn't exist anymore. Hold on. There's a saved version. There it is. Convenient that this doesn't exist anymore. I wonder why. I don't know. No, I do know. I know this is messed up. And if you think this is messed up too, that this is not how we as humans should be treating each other for whatever stupid reason, guess what? You're not anti-Semitic. You are not anti-Semitic for criticizing a government carrying out practically genocidal actions in retaliation against an organization, by the way, that Israel has proven time and time and again to be prepared for. The Iron Dome. The IDF. Like, they tend to be extraordinarily already prepared for what Hamas can throw at them. So how are they not more prepared to take on Hamas, a small terrorist organization that, though they are a terrorist organization, and though they do evil things, like, they are not... I want this to be known. Hamas is not good for the Palestinian people in any way, shape, or form. They are not. But how does Israel, when they clearly have the resources and they constantly get the resources, especially from the United States, how do they not have a better way of dealing with Hamas? Why does every response to Hamas have to be just the total decimation of the Palestinian territories, most notably Gaza? You don't hear about West Bank a lot, but most notably Gaza. How? You know, it's fucked up. It's fucked up no matter how you look at it, because there's no reason for this lopsided response. There's no reason to destroy Palestinian lives, Palestinian homes, Palestinian businesses. There's no reason. They also just indiscriminately destroy refugee camps and refugee buildings and, like, the United Nations loses buildings here. Like, buildings that should obviously not be struck. But they are. And they're destroyed. Of course, this fucking report isn't available anymore. Of course it isn't. Thank God for the fucking Wayback Machine, huh? Has been gradually undermined. Gee, I wonder why it fell apart. But yeah, this was 2014. And yet all of this can be felt now. Which is just... we're doing it again. And the same shit's happening again. Where any attempt to bring legit criticism and legit light to what is happening is met by organizations and politicians in the West claiming all anti-Semitism, and this is all, and it's just like, I'm going to reiterate this one more time. You are not anti-Semitic for thinking that this is awful. You're not anti-Semitic for being critical of the Israeli government for doing this shit. There's nothing anti-Semitic about it. There's nothing anti-Semitic about pointing out that a government body and its military arm is doing horrible, damn near, if not just straight up genocidal things to a people for very flimsy reasons. You are not an anti-Semite for thinking that. You're not an anti-Semite for speaking that either. All these dumb, stupid organizations, all these dumb, stupid people. There's not anti-Semitism here, okay, in doing this, alright? It's only anti-Semitic if you start babbling on and on about how you were, like if you start, it's only anti-Semitic if you start saying actual horrible things about the Jews. But if you're going to just criticize a terrible government, you're not anti-Semite. Hell, I would even take it one step further, and this is probably the one that'll get me in trouble if anyone even cares about this stream. You are not anti-Semitic if you even point out that Zionist interests are responsible for this. Because guess what? You know, you can look this stuff up. It's like, Zionism is already a pretty extreme form of Judaism that a lot of Jews don't like anyway. And, you know, extremist, reactionary form of Judaism. It's horrible. And the fact that people, like a goal is to just get rid of the Palestinians any way possible is just horrible. And the fact that they are in the government and making governmental decisions, not every governmental official in the Israeli government is like this. In fact, as we know, there's a coalition forming to try to get Benjamin Netanyahu out of there. You know, like, the government, even forces within the government don't think this is good. You know, they want it to stop. But there are entities that don't want it to stop. And there are entities that feel as if this is the correct thing to do. This is not. This is horrible. But just because you are criticizing something, hell, even just because you're criticizing a form of religious extremism, too, which is Zionism. Zionism is religious extremism. And I will fucking burn in the pyre if I have to say that. It is a form of religious extremism. Zionism is a form of religious extremism. And it has influence and directs some of these actions and justifies these actions against the people who are trying to, who can't even survive, mind you. Forget living at this point, because despite all the aid and despite all the help, it's never enough. It's sadly never enough. They can't even survive now. They're constantly losing their lives and their homes, their work, their means. And the Israeli government and the IDF get to wave it away because they can make claims that they very rarely ever back up, by the way, with actual proof. Like the claims that there were Hamas tunnels underneath that one media building, that had Al Jazeera and the Associated Press and all those journalistic organizations in it. Journalistic organizations that were conveniently being very critical and exposing of the current crisis. Oh yeah, there was just Hamas tunnels under there. We had to do it. Never mind that it's already a pretty flimsy excuse, because it was like, okay, were the tunnels connected to the buildings? Do you have evidence that the buildings were housing Hamas terrorists? Did the tunnels just so happen to run underneath the building? Like, what is your... What are you actually saying here? Because if they just happened to run underneath the building, why didn't you strike somewhere that didn't have population, that didn't have important businesses or, journalism that conveniently happens to be exposing you? Why didn't you just strike the tunnels at a different spot? It's like it still opens up a ton of questions about it. And yet, if you dare to criticize, you're an anti-Semite. And I fucking hate that. I fucking hate seeing on Twitter and everywhere else. I fucking hate seeing the response to this being largely from large organizations and politicians. It being largely, this is all anti-Semitism. If you're criticizing this, you hate the Jewish people. It's like, no, dude, I hate the Israeli government. I hate the IDF. I hate what they are doing. What they are doing is practically genocide right now, okay? Like, you cannot look at those pictures. 2014, though they are from, I could easily pull up some 2021 pictures. You cannot look and say that any of those were or are okay. They aren't. And it's honestly disgusting that every single time it's brought up that what the Israeli government is doing to the Palestinian territories is awful. It's truly horrific, inhumane. You're just being anti-Semitic. No. Fuck you. You're trying to justify awful, inhumane, disastrous actions. For what? Because a terrorist organization, which was likely formed, by the way, because of how Israel treats the Palestinian territories. Just forget the war. It's not even a war. Forget the horrible militaristic cruelty. Excuse me. Forget that. Israel treats both the Gaza Strip and the West Bank horribly. Just on a day-to-day basis. With or without rockets and war crimes. Is not anti-Semitic to point that out. Because that's the best I can do. That's the best most of us over here can do. We live in the United States as random citizens, in the West. We're not directly impacted by this happening. I'm not. I could easily just go about my day and not even think about it, but I want to do something. And this is the very minimum I can do as an extremely poor white American in Colorado. This very small stream is the very least I can do. And the only other thing I could do, because I bought the bundle that contained this game. This is the headlining game, and I'm very glad it is. I am very glad that this is the headlining game of the bundle. And I am very proud of Itch.io and the Itch.io community for doing this a second time, by the way, because they did a bundle for Black Lives Matter, and I am very glad they did a bundle for the Palestinian aid. It's a shame that it's over already. It's a shame. But 1,272 games, game assets, tools, designs, tabletop RPGs, stories, comics, so many creative things. 1,272 individual groups of developers and creators came together to incentivize us to make something. And that really means something, especially since there are huge names like Celeste and Devolver Digital who contributed to this and the Black Lives Matter one too. You know, Anodyne. So many big names. Nine in the Woods. It's a shame I can't tell you to go buy it, because it really is worth $5. I mean, you get a lot for just $5 to help people. So it's a shame that it's gone and done, but oh, did I spell? Let me just click the link. There we go. I spelled it wrong. Here we go. There. This is the organization that Itch.io donated their almost $1 million to, that they raised via that bundle. The United Nations. Whoop. Sadly, it can't be. It is the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian refugees in the Near East. UNRWA.org/Gaza emergency. There's a big red donate button right there. Right here. And there are so many ways you can do it. You can help families directly. You can help Palestinians that fled to Syria directly. You can help just in general, send gifts, help with education. You can create your own fundraiser like Itch.io did. You can help for as little as the Itch.io people were selling the bundle for $5, $5 donation, and I helped as best I could. I will disclose I did $10 because I'm on an extraordinarily tight poor person budget. I am not fucking around about that. But I gave 10, and as little as 5. As little as a one-time donation, or you could, if you are able to, you could be a monthly donator, or you could spread the word to help. It's one of the few, they really are helping. They're doing the best they can, for what it's worth. It's one of the few United Nations organizations that are actually helping. And it's a goddamn struggle to do so, but they are helping. And if you are able to, I ask that you please do so. I will say, it was short. It was a short 50. I expected an hour, but it was a short 20-minute, 15 to 20-minute experience. But Liyla and the Shadows of War. If you want to play it, you can find it on Itch. It was part of the bundle, but I believe it is a free game in general. It is a free game in general. So if you want to experience this directly, because it's not the same watching it, but I encourage you to donate or spread the word and to play Liyla and the Shadows of War, because it really does put, for as short of a time as it is, it puts a lot of things in perspective. And sometimes that's all you need to really realize. This shit's not okay. It's not okay. And just because we're not there directly doesn't mean we can't do something about it either. And it doesn't mean we shouldn't care either. We absolutely should care about what's going on. So that's all I have for today. I was just going to do this today, and that's it. And you know what? That's it. This was a 41-minute stream. But I said my piece. I played it. Played Liyla in the Shadows of War. I said my piece. And it's hard for me to formulate my political views. So I'll try my best to conclude here with what I was saying, which is what is happening to the Palestinian people is in no way okay or is in no way justified, regardless of what government and military entities in Israel say it is. And it is not anti-Semitic to criticize these actions. It is not anti-Semitic to criticize these actions. It is not anti-Semitic to criticize the religious extremism that often fuels these actions either. And it is extremely disingenuous and covering for near genocide to claim that criticizing Israel's actions in regards to the Palestinian territories, what they did in 2014, what they are doing now in 2021, is extremely disingenuous and covering for near genocide. To say that any criticism of this horrible war crime shit is anti-Semitic, and you are a horrible, disingenuous person if you claim it is anti-Semitism. Just because people are critical of this. Alright? So there you go. There's the summation. rasheed.abueideh, I apologize if I mispronounced your name. They are the developer of this game, of Liyla in the Shadows of War. I don't know how true to life it was for you. It was based on the 2014 incident. I don't know. If you lost your family in 2014, I am extraordinarily sorry for your loss, if so. I am extraordinarily sorry that you have to still suffer this, even now, 7 years later. I hope me playing the game and me showing the pictures and me bringing up the organization, I hope it was something. It'd be very small, but I hope it was helpful even in a very small way. And I hope anyone who watches this, whether they watch it live right now or they play it back, I hope you are able to provide, again, even if it's a small, or even smaller than what I did. It doesn't matter, as long as it's something. A one-time donation, spreading the word. I hope you take that choice and you do that. You take that action and you do that. And you send what help you can. Alright? I'm not asking... I don't want people to do outside their means, because this is literally within my means. A $10 donation and streaming this game and talking about it. That is literally within my current means at this place and time for me. So, if you are able to, within your means, be a physical volunteer and join this organization and go there and help, by all means, do so if you are able to. But even the smallest thing can be done in the most unfortunate means. So if whatever you are able to do within your means out there, people, please do. Because this shit has to end. And I don't want it to end the way the Israeli government and the military apparently want it to end. With the decimation and extinction of the Palestinian people. I don't want it to end that way. I want it to end where finally we can just stop and let these people live free and healthy lives. That's where it needs to end. And no matter how small your actions you take are, it works toward it makes meaningful work and progress towards that. So please help the Palestinian people in any way you can. This is, of course, this is the organization that itch.io went with, so that's why I'm promoting them. Because itch.io has always done good with the two bundles so far. They've always done right. in choosing the organizations. So this is just the organization that the Itch.io bundle went with. But there are many other organizations and charities out there that you could donate or volunteer for in order to help. And remember, and I'm going to emphasize this one last time before I go for today. You are not anti-Semitic for bringing light to these events, for criticizing the Israeli government and the Israeli military, and for helping. There's nothing anti-Semitic about doing so. Nothing. And don't let horrible people who just want to cover this shit up for whatever terrible reason, don't let them dissuade you from helping real people who are suffering for no good reason. Don't let people stop you, and don't let them try to make you think you are an anti-Semite either. So, that's all I have to say. That's all I was going to do. It was a short stream today, but I was only going to do Liyla and the Shadows of War. It does not feel right to be like, oh, that was short, so I'm going to do something else now. That's it. That's it. That's all I was going to do today. So, if you came out, thank you so much for coming out. If you are watching this back, thank you so much for watching this back. And thank you for whatever you do to help the Palestinian people. No matter how big, no matter how small. Thank you for helping. Have a good rest of your Sunday, everybody.